My friends, I am back for another news video because we have so many big reports, big stories, and interesting rumors worth discussing. So I hope you guys enjoy the double upload today. Catch me tomorrow for the preview against Liverpool, and catch me this weekend for, a significant weekend of football for this football club. For the first story, let's discuss more reports surrounding Real Madrid and their love affair with Enzo Fernandez. Now, this has been one of these stories that circulated very, very slowly, like last year. And it's growing and growing as we're getting closer now to the summer window, because Madrid are planning some big things this summer. A new manager will replace Ancelotti, with reports suggesting that Xabi Alonso is destined to be the successor to Ancelotti. We've learned that Modric is set to leave Real Madrid after all these years in this summer window. And Madrid are in a situation where they may be forced to sell Rodrigo, who's becoming a bit unhappy there and feels like he's been discarded and not highly regarded anymore. So this is a summer where, after capitulating at the end of this season, they need to come in big, come in strong, and they need to find a balanced team, because they can't utilize Rodrigo's, Mbappe's, Vinny's, and Bellingham's in the same team together. And this is where I feel they're really getting ready now to find a more cohesive strategy. They've secured Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going to be amazing at playing balls over the top to connect that pacey attack. But what they do not have is that Cruz, even younger Modric style player. And this is where Enzo Fernandez makes perfect sense for Real Madrid. Now, the Daily Mail report that the club and insiders at Chelsea have refuted the notion that they will even consider letting Enzo Fernandez leave. But we know the power of Real Madrid, and sadly, and I don't say this, feeling proud about it, but, it feels like we have always kind of been that feeder club to Real Madrid. The first time I felt heartbreak when I was a kid was when we sold Robin to them all those years back. To this day, I can't understand why he had to go. We've seen them take Courtois, Eden Hazard, Rudiger, etc., etc. We just know the power, that prestige that Real Madrid have. And is that something Enzo Fernandez would happily say no to? But for this report, I want us to have a conversation around this story, just to get you guys to think about things and maybe answer me this question. But in your opinion, is Enzo Fernandez too indispensable to ever consider selling? Or if the money was right, or the deal benefited us in terms of a player exchange, would you be open to even considering allowing Enzo Fernandez to leave? Because I think it's a big discussion, in my opinion. We know that Maresca was hired compared to other managers last summer because his game plan with the use of inverted fullbacks was going to be the key tactical plan to get Caicedo and Fernandez operating at their best levels together. And that is one thing for sure. One thing for sure that Enzo Maresca has met. He met those objectives. I mean, Enzo, I would say, is our most improved player this season. Not just from a statistical point of view, but in terms of how he plays, how he moves on the field, how he scores goals as well too. There's been big strides and improvements in his game. And in 41 apps, 13 assists, 6 goals. I mean, he's clearly going places right now at the moment. However, the other part of that conversation is, are we forever going to be an inverted style team to accommodate an Enzo Fernandez who, even though he benefits us and has been very strong for us this season, the system with the inverted fullbacks is actually existing to make up for any defensive frailties in the middle. At the moment, if you want to see Enzo, Lavio and Caicedo playing, that does involve Caicedo playing as the inverted right back, which he could do. But we've signed many other players that can play that right back role. And I don't think they'd be happy to be losing out to a midfield player. With Andre Santos also at the football club. And little things I've heard personally behind the scenes, Santos and his team, they are actually looking at what offers can bring. Not in terms of the fact that they're desperate to leave, not at all, but they want to gauge the market to understand what's on offer for them. Because when they go back to Chelsea, they want to feel like Santos is going to get minutes, is going to be played, is going to be looked after, because he has a world-class potential. And when Bayern Munich are saying you can run a pivot midfield now for the next 10 years, and they're going to sign Wirtz, they got Musiala, all these guys tied down, and other big clubs are after you, you're not going to easily turn them down for us when you don't feel like we have the best intentions for your career. There is a lot to think about here with this one. Is Enzo Fernandez too indispensable to ever consider letting go, considering the potential benefits you could get from the introduction of players taking his position, to maybe not being so heavily reliant and dependent on an inverted style system, and just other interesting conversations around that. For the final conversation, just to throw this in there, but a lot of you guys in the fan base have felt like we miss having that carrier midfield who can carry in central positions to help with our transitional play and just add another dimension to the team. Enzo is really good now at arriving in the books, very good at playing box to box. The guy's clocking like, 11.5, 11.7 kilometers per game now, and he's doing that on a daily basis. But at the same time, he does kind of run out of steam a little bit. And when there are opportunities to carry the ball, that's not his strongest forte. And the club's experiments of maybe Felix or Nkunku's or other players in that role taking over can't work due to that lack of defensive balance that you miss out on when you're using offensive guys like this. Could Chelsea be a stronger team if we considered signing more correct profiles in certain positions to enhance what we already have? It's food for thought, it's a conversation, and this is a time where you guys share your thoughts and opinions now. How do you feel about this? Take it away, my guys. Now for the next big story, my friends. We discussed Jorrel Hato of Ajax, as reports in Holland have confirmed that we have recently spoken to Ajax of the availability of the player. Now, a rumor, only a rumor, so don't take what I'm saying too strongly. From what I've heard, yeah, and I'm giving you guys a disclaimer because he could be wrong. I'm going to let you guys know that. But from a rumor I've heard, Hato has allegedly said yes to the project and likes the idea and would be open at least to a move to us. Him being open doesn't guarantee anything happens, but he is open to that. Now, a few months back, I remember I told you guys that I felt like the mystery centre-back we held talks with was Hato, based on things I heard already. But that surprise centre-back, in fact, was Sarr from Strasbourg. But that didn't mean that Hato wasn't someone we liked. And now that we're approaching the summer window, now that he's garnered even more praise for his performances this season, big clubs being after him, Liverpool, massive fans, massive admirers, there's an opportunity for us, I guess, in the market to secure our inverted left-back style competition alongside Cucurella. And I say that because I think Hato is a great player. He's a manager's dream if you're Maresca, because he can play as a left-back, he can play as a ball-playing defender, he can play as a winger sometimes, as an offensive fullback. And in my opinion, I see him as like the Dutch Gvardiol, that style of player who can offer things centrally, offer things offensively, likes to get forward as well, very good on the ball, very direct, and could complement our needs for the squad next season because we only have one inverted fullback in Cucurella. But question marks again hover over what is the plan then for Ishe Samuel-Smith, another player who can perform the same role. And when he signed his recent contract extension, the belief at the time was that he will be remaining with the first team. It's the club changing its mind again. It ain't the first time we've got these guys to tie themselves down to long-term deals, only to be like, you know what? Thanks for doing that. You're now worth 10x the value you were before you signed this deal. And we can now cash in on you to get that pure profit, baby, and reinvest into signing 3 more 18-year-olds. Okay, I'm being cynical with that one. But again, question marks, because I just feel like when you're overloading yourself with youth talent, I mean, there is a lot of pressure you're putting on yourself, man. Listen, from a different perspective, I could have maybe been open to a Hato if we weren't going in for Howson, if we weren't going in for other players. But we are. And I just think to myself, I don't know, a bit of balance defensively could be good with the group. My first initial thought is there's a lot of young replacements for a lot of players that we originally signed to be youngsters a few seasons back who could be out the door already. That's going to take a little bit of time to refine that defensive balance and communication, understanding with each other. Not too much time because these guys are all great players and it don't take these guys forever. But in terms of adjusting to a new team dynamic, etc., etc., you know, this is my fear for the window. I don't want to overdo the signings. I want to see more focused recruitment that can actually enhance what we have already, really hone in on a plan for the future, stick to that, and then assess things later on. Samuel Smith could be a decent backup, but we haven't seen him play at all this season, so I don't know how the club really revere him behind the scenes. Ben Chilwell, we decided, you know what, regardless of what you're doing, you're just not going to be here at all. And I guess you can't go into a Champions League, potential Champions League season with only Cucurella as your only natural left-back inverted player, because this guy will burn out and you're going to see it with his hair getting fried up on that field, yeah? So, my guys, how do you feel about these Hato reports? It's an interesting one. So let's watch this space. And speaking of inverted style players, some interesting reports coming out from Argentina surrounding Valentin Barco. Now, at the moment, Barco is only on loan from Brighton at Strasbourg. When Strasbourg agreed a deal to sign Barco from Brighton, who had an unsuccessful loan spell at Sevilla, there was a compulsory future fee of 10 million euros attached after his loan spell. The reports from Argentina suggest that Chelsea could be open, in fact, to exercise that compulsory fee to bring Barco to our squad. Barco has been an absolute revelation at Strasbourg. They've had injuries in their midfield, and Barco has seamlessly slotted in alongside Andre Santos, and he still has that license to make those darting runs down the left flank. And he is also like one of those inverted style players that would make a lot more sense at our football club when he has that license to tuck inside in midfield, where he shows really great ball playing abilities, great close control, great defensive performance and aptitude. He might struggle more in like 1v1 scenarios due to the lack of physicality, but my lord, has this guy been a tackling machine for Strasbourg, winning over 60% of duels he's contested. He's sharp on the ball with an accuracy rating of over 80%. He's got 2 assists already this season. Liam Rosina has absolutely loved him, and he performed so well that Rosina actually allowed him to take a few days off in celebration of his performances. And he's played a big part in helping Strasbourg potentially secure European football come the end of this season. I think when Blueco originally brought Barco to Strasbourg, there must have always been like a future potential plan to consider him being part of our first team squad in the future. And at the moment, he seems to be of interesting use in terms of what he could offer and provide as that inverted style player due to his versatility and how well he's adapted playing in a very physical league in Ligue 1. So let's watch this space, because we could be securing a bargain for around £8 million, £7.5 million. So yeah, let's watch this space. And for the final report, I'm going to be very quick with this, but an outlet called Football Transfers reveals that we in fact do like Ollie Watkins. We would be open to paying 60 mil to sign him. We see him as the understudy to Osimhen if we can't secure his services. And I think it taps into the whole thing going on of Aston Villa potentially being hit with PSR compliance. They may be forced to sell someone to ensure they can reinvest that money back into the team. So let's see what happens there. Now, we know Morgan Rogers is a player that internally a lot of people at our club really like. We know the money would be absolutely nuts to sign him. Villa wouldn't want to let him go. But if they're forced to have to sell and the offers are good, and as we revealed, Disasi, who's likely remaining there, could we get Felix to go in the other direction, or Nkunku, or someone of that ilk? Let's see what happens there. But I think this would be a very audacious and maybe too ambitious to be able to secure a Morgan Rogers. But going back to the Ollie Watkins story, I don't see too much behind this. I think the money's a lot. I don't even think the age is a big deal. He's 29 years old or like nearly 30, and 29-year-olds and 30-year-olds today aren't like what they used to be 10, 15 years ago. So I wouldn't be getting worried about age. And actually, in terms of money, he's on 130K a week. So you'd imagine that he'd want an upgrade, but not a significant upgrade due to the ability to come to London and obviously play for a better club right at his age. So I'm not too sure about this story. And personally, even though Watkins put 18 goals, 12 assists, he's a guy that is really good these days, and this is due to the great work of Unai Emery of bringing others into the game. So from a complementary forward perspective, he would suit us because we have players that want to be fed the ball back afterwards, right? But I just think for that type of money, unless Watkins is available for like Ivan Toney last summer fees or something of that ilk, yeah, we're not going to spend 60 million on someone when there's 5, 6 other guys that we like who are less money or around for a similar price. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything to the story. I think Watkins is decent, but as I said, unless it's something mad like he's around 25 mil and it's near the end of the window and you need a striker, then no. I think we're in a position right now where there's a lot of forwards that we like. It comes down to uniting to focus on the best one to take this club forward. So my friends, that's all the stories for me today. Get involved, show us some love, hit that like button, and I will catch you tomorrow with more videos. Cool.